Hello, Brad here, just to say we're super proud that the Friday 5pm podcast is sponsored by the Malt Miller, the UK's best home brew store.
We use the Malt Miller for all of our homebrew experiments, as well as tapping them up for advice and binging on their awesome YouTube channel all the time.
That's why whenever we release a homebrew video, we put a recipe kit live on the Malt Miller, so you can brew with the exact same amazing ingredients that we did. The same ingredients used by pro brewers.
So alongside the Malt Miller's nitro-flushed hops, cold-stored yeast and milled-to-order malts, you can pick up recipe kits for our 5 Points Best Bitter, Russian River West Coast IPA, and now the fastest beer in the world, a hazy session IPA that goes from grain to glass in less than 48 hours.
Sign up to their newsletter at tinyurl.com/Malt Miller to get 5% off your first order. With the Malt Miller's amazing customer service and Johnny's 48-hour recipe, you could order the ingredients on a Monday and be drinking the beer by the weekend.
Speaking of which, it's Friday.
It's 5pm.
So enjoy this week's Friday 5pm podcast. It's Friday, it's 5pm, and Brad, you need to remind me to turn the glycol chiller back on at the end of this podcast. It's a warm day up in beautiful Hertfordshire, so the glycol chiller is kicking in, keeping our big brew day porter nice and chilled as it conditions, but it's keeping me exceptionally warm. When I came in this morning, it was 26 degrees in here.
Bloody hell.
Clearly the insulation is really working in the hastily put together, slightly ramshackle Brudio.
You have got a lot of windows as well, I'd like to add.
Yeah, it's pretty shady in the morning, though.
Oh, okay.
Dappled light is how I describe the morning light in the Brudio.
Interesting. Well, you've got big old windows open out, so you'll just have to use them.
I do. So if you hear birds, bees, all kinds of things keep flying through, it's like a super highway for insects going on their way to find my lovely new flowers in my remodeled garden.
Well, I've got my cat Jeffrey sat next to me on the arm of my chair, like a parrot.
That's a wildlife episode.
Just staring at me and purring.
Oh.
So it might be like an ASMR type episode, I don't know. I don't know if anyone can hear her purring, but she's purring.
I don't believe you. I can't hear her.
Come on, Jeff. Make a noise, buddy. There. This is not cold, Johnny. Let's quickly move on. Let's get away from Jeff chat. Jeff will make a noise later.
There we go. Have you had a good week? You've been on not a staycation. Staycation's at home. A Britcation.
Yeah. So I went to the Isle of Wight, which I don't think I've ever been to as an adult, other than getting really mash up at Bestival. So I wasn't expecting that much, really, to be honest. It's actually really beautiful. It's kind of like very sort of Cornwall, Devon-y kind of looking. I went
rugged
to
and hilly and windy and
yeah. Oh my god, it's incredibly hilly. I couldn't believe how hilly it was just in my car, just trying to pootle up hills and stuff.
I thought, so you said I couldn't believe how hilly it was. I was like, oh, you've done a lot of walking. No, you just mean your car was struggling.
No. I mean, we did a little bit of walking. I found the only pub on the Isle of Wight that's on a beach, which is in Shanklin Chine. So there's a town of Shanklin, and then there's this sort of Victorian, what would you call it, attraction, which is a natural feature like of the land. It's like a gorge that's been carved out over the millennia. It's called Shanklin Chine, and it's got all like, really beautiful gardens and stuff. I think it was about £12 to get in or something. So I found a pub on a cliff that overlooked it, so I could have a look into the Chine. Couldn't see the waterfall.
You shelled out your £12.
Yeah, couldn't see the waterfall though. And then that was a really cool old world pub, actually. Really, really old school. Me and my girlfriend got a round I had a beer. She had a non-alcoholic beer. And I think it came to about £6, which was astounding.
Oh my God.
I was like, I don't even understand what's happened here. It's like a Time Warp pub. So we sat out there for a little bit, looking down on the Chine. And then I spotted this beautiful, beautiful pub on the beach. I could just see it through the cliffs just below. And it's called the Fisherman's Inn or something. And I sat drinking a shandy while the waves came in. of an evening eating. This is about as British as it gets, Johnny. A Brit away on holiday. I had spag bowl, mate, on the beach, and I tell you what, it was bloody excellent.
Firstly, it's an Italian dish. Secondly, what do you mean spaghetti bolognese on a beach?
So
who sits on a beach and goes, you know what this is missing? Spaghetti and ragu.
Yeah. Well, everyone knows I'm a bit weird anyway about food and stuff. My girlfriend had more sensible fish pie, which she said was epic, with like a sort of potatoey, cheesy crust on it. And I just, as soon as I saw spag bowl on the menu, I was like, heart eyes emoji.
This is the perfect setting.
Yeah. I was like, this is what I need. But it's actually quite a light ragu, I would say, Johnny. So it worked out all right in the end. And I'd been walking up and down the cliff, so I needed some carbs. I'd already eaten some freshly plopped out donuts from a beach donut stall as well.
Like the tacky kind of like just been fried, and they're so oily that you start to see through the bag kind of donuts.
Those are the guys. Guess what?
Sugar or cinnamon sugar?
Cinnamon sugar, of course.
Yeah, baby.
They were bloody epic. It was so epic, I went back a couple of days later and got another 4-pack. That's how good they were.
You need to tell me about this shandy. What shandy were you drinking?
Oh, it was pretty bog standard. I'm trying to remember.
Just a lager shandy, mate.
Yeah, it was pretty much a lager shandy. Yeah, I can't even remember what it was. I'm sad to say it was a macro. It might have even been Italian. I think it might have been Italian, Johnny, to go with.
Yeah, because nothing's more British than an Italian lager. Yeah,
exactly. But I think a spag bowl is a very sort of British. Like growing up, I used to eat that as a kid. I know it's Italian. I'm not an idiot. But what I mean is we've sort of adopted it in the way that we've adopted curries and other stuff.
Well, yeah, I think that actually spaghetti bolognese isn't really...
It's not consumed that much.
I think spaghetti and bolognese are not generally consumed together in Italy, possibly.
No.
I think we've done that.
Yeah. They might have it with like...
quintessentially British.
Farfalle or like a tubi pasta or some other kind of pasta rather than the linguine or spaghetti kind of pasta, because it doesn't hold the ragu, does it? Like you want something to hold the ragu, like little shells or something like that.
Do you know, I've been watching, I don't know if you've been watching, but Alex, French Guy Cooking's last few episodes have been all about spaghetti, and it has blown my mind. I have upgraded my spaghetti. Despite the cost of living crisis, I've upgraded my spaghetti. I'm now a Dececci spaghetti man through and through, and it's so much better. It's got more bite, it's bigger, bigger's usually better, and it does, because it's expressed through bronze, not through Teflon.
Roughens
it
the
holds
surface.
onto the sauce better. Yeah,
you get more surface area, that roughened surface, mate. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
because there's that thing where like everyone go and watch Alex French Guy Cooking's
best
series
YouTuber on YouTube.
He's bloody excellent.
Second
Yeah,
best.
there's lots of great YouTubers, but what was I going to say? Yeah, go and watch it. It's fantastic. And I think a lot of us, maybe growing up, who sort of considered ourselves a little bit foodie, I'm not sure I can put myself in that category, but we always thought that like fresh egg pasta was the one. You're like, oh yeah, it's fresh. Fresh is better. No, it's bloody not. Proper.
It's right for you've got to use fresh pasta for the right dishes, because sometimes you need the al dente and sometimes you need the
But the fresh is basically it's just like parcels, isn't it? It's good for like parcels, right? It's not much good for anything else.
Well, I think with certain sauces it does really help,
right.
But generally, you are better off with something that you can cook exactly right so that it's still got bite, whereas fresh pasta is harder to do, particularly fresh pasta that you buy from like a supermarket. If you get fresh pasta that's made in an amazing pasta restaurant, like in London, I used to work around the corner from an amazing pasta restaurant in Borough Market that we went like 4 or 5 times. It was like £6 for an amazing plate of pasta, and then the bloggers discovered it and we couldn't get near it after that.
Yeah, the
Pastaio, I think that's what it was called.
It's literally by the tube exit, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's incredible. Yeah. I've only been there a couple of times because of the same deal. Like, it's bloody impossible to get in.
Exactly, yeah. Well, they've got a couple of them now. They've turned it into a chain, quite rightly. And every morning they'd make the pasta in the window. That just meant that as soon as you got out the tube, you immediately went, "I want pasta for lunch."
Oof.
It was a very clever bit of marketing. But yeah, that kind of fresh pasta, you can still get biting, and because it's beautifully made and by great chefs. But yeah, I don't think I've bought any fresh pasta for home since, and I've upgraded from whatever the crappy Sainsbury's or wherever I'm going pasta is to something that's bronze excluded, which is just a wonderful.
Amazing. Me too.
Extruded.
Me too.
Sorry, not excluded.
I've already been in the bronze camp because you can actually get like quite decent bronze cut stuff in Lidl and Aldi, which I've discovered a couple of years back.
There you go.
So it's this, but I do get the ketchi or whatever it's called as well. If it's on offer, if I pop into Waitrose, if I'm feeling fancy, Johnny, then I'll pick some of that bad boy up. But I actually think the Aldi one's pretty bloody good.
I bet it is.
Yeah. Anyway, back to my holiday. I went to a monkey sanctuary, which was fantastic.
Oh my God.
Abused monkeys that had come from hard lives, and then they were. Well, no. It was fantastic because I mean, obviously, zoos are a little bit iffy these days. We're not sure if they're good or bad. You know, obviously, there's a lot. They're sort of, you know, is that question of like, should they be in captivity at all? But these are monkeys that have had hard lives all around the world, and one of them, it was I think it was a macaque or something. It was in on its own. No, it had a girlfriend. Sorry, but it was holding a rubber pig, which was its little therapy pig, and it was grooming it non-stop because it had been abused. So this little therapy pig.
What? Why are you making the listeners cry, Bradley?
Oh, dude, it was honestly, it was so heart like breaking, but it had a nice life now. It had a girlfriend, but occasionally the girlfriend got enraged by the attention that the rubber therapy pig got and would rip it apart.
Oh my God, what?
So the keepers were telling us that they had a store of about 300 replacement identical therapy pigs, which I just thought was fantastic.
So this monkey thinks he's got a regenerating therapy pig.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, quite amazing, right? So that was fantastic. I also went to a pier in a place called Sandown, which I thought looked a little bit whack. And the pier, my girlfriend likes going on 2p machines, which I'm like, well, it's okay, it's quite fun, it's a bit retro nostalgia, whatever, but she kind of really enjoyed it. And I managed to persuade her. I saw there was a Crazy Golf further down the pier. This is, just to give you a bit of context, it's about 9:30 p.m. on a Sunday night. And the pier was still open. It was like the last thing open. And anyway, I got her to go. It was £4 entry, Johnny. It was called, I'm just going to name check it because it was fucking fantastic, Lost World Indoor Mini Golf on the Sandown Pier. Mate.
Are we talking dinosaurs here?
Dude, we're talking dinosaurs. It was like the Aztec Zone from 1990s Crystal Maze. It was incredible. We're talking multi-layers, walking up and down stairs, over rope bridges, all on a pier, all in pitch black. It was totally inside. It was mental, and they had like thunder clouds, lightning going. It's very moody. All for £4, Johnny. And
yeah, I was initially like, that's quite a lot for Crazy Golf.
Yeah.
But now you say what you get for that money. I think they could charge more.
They could definitely charge more. And also 11 holes, mate. Not 9 holes. None of that 9-hole shit. 11 holes. I said, mate, is this any good? I was like, I'm trying to persuade my girlfriend to give it a go. And he said to me, we've never had a complaint. And I was like, what? We've never had a complaint. Not one. I was like, okay, I'm definitely coming in then. And honestly, I was ecstatic. I was running around like a child. I thought it was the best thing I've done, like, in ages, like since lockdown. I thought it was incredible. I love a bargain, and I didn't
help but feel a little bit hurt there. We've been to Sweden. We've made slushy beers, and you just rather spend £4 on Crazy Golf.
I tell you what, Johnny, I'd like you to come and play Crazy Golf with me in the Sandown Lost World Crazy Golf. It was frigging amazing.
I'd like to.
There was a very subpar pub on the pier as well.
Subpar, Bradley.
Come on. So we did our round of golf, and then the attendee had gone by the time we came out. So we just left our cue. I'm going to call them cues. They're not cues, are they? What are they called?
You can call them it, but that's not what they are.
What are they? What are they called? I don't know.
Clubs.
Sticks. Clubs. Golf clubs. These are putting ones, though. Are they still clubs? Putting clubs? I don't know. We left those in his little booth. Putters, yeah, we left our putters, and we proceeded over to this very, very subpar pub. It was very sad, Johnny. There was like Foster's on tap, and it was just really bad. I had a Coca-Cola because I was driving, but I did have a packet of bacon fries. You know, the sort of, are they Smiths? No, not the Smiths ones. Sorry. Yeah, maybe they are Smiths. I think Frazzles and yeah, they make Frazzles and they make snacks, yeah. They were bloody fantastic. And they had a giant projection screen playing some sort of golf in the background. And one other guy in there, an old boy, watching the golf on the giant projector. And I thought, I do not want to end up like that old boy sitting there.
Although maybe the lost world is a slippery slope. That's how he ended up just watching golf in the local pub. He spends all day in Aztec World.
Exactly.
And then he just goes and watches golf in the evening. That sounds like an all right life to me. It's not the place that had the all right spag bowl. We're in another place now.
No, the Shanklin was quite nice. That Sandown. I don't want to diss any of these places. They're all probably really nice. We got to Sandown, everything was shut, and it just felt a little bit more like kind of sort of Blackpool-y type vibes, rather than Shanklin was more like oldie worldy, bougie little beach town in Cornwall sort of vibe. So it's different vibes.
So this podcast is brought to you by the tourist board of the Isle of Wight. Perhaps we should talk about beer.
No way. Come on, then.
We haven't even said what I did this week, and it is beer related.
Johnny, you've had a bloody epic week. Sorry, mate, I've monopolised you.
You have. That's 15 minutes of what Brad
Waffle
did on the Isle of Wight. Who knew there was that much to do on the Isle of Wight? But yes, last weekend I was at the Wild Beer Co. Cheese and Beer Festival. Yes. And let me tell you, if you like cheese or beer or festivals, it's a very good cheese and beer festival. I had an absolutely amazing time. Lots of very, very delicious Wild Beer Co. beer, including a great little table beer, which is not a style that I'd really associate with Wild Beer Co. But I was running the cheese and beer tastings in the cheese cave.
The cheese zone.
So, yeah,
Wild Beer Co. Crystal Maze cheese zone.
In the cheese zone, yeah. Because Wild Beer Co. are on the same site as Westcombe Dairy, who make the amazing Westcombe cheddar. Wow. So I was literally I was in like what I guess you would describe as a boardroom or a cheese boardroom, which overlooked the actual cave, so I could see the cheddar aging behind my guests. And I had a lovely time. We were matching. We did Ninkasi, which is their apple juice co-ferment champagne yeasted Belgian triple, which is tasting better than it ever has. And we had their modus operandi, their Flemish red, and we had their wild IPA, which is their house IPA, which has I think a white wine yeast is used as well, so it's kind of oily and slick and tannic and juicy. And we were matching that. It got rowdy, Bradley. My tastings got there was tasting number 3. I don't know if somebody commented on the video today saying I was at the tasting. Thanks for it. It got rowdy. I did have a complaint. Somebody complained, not about me, but about the person serving the cheese. Wow. But she was very drunk and very sunburned, so I think... I think probably
the person serving the cheese was very drunk and sunburned?
No, the customer.
Okay. Did you get very drunk and / sunburned?
No, I was driving back, so that's why I was drinking the table.
Oh, I thought you stayed there. I'm confused.
I wish I could. Events conspired against me, so I drove all the way to Somerset and all the way back in a day.
Holy shit! That's crazy. That is wild. That is wild.
But it was worth it. That is wild.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if you can go next year, it was absolutely amazing. There were amazing cheese toasties, amazing beer, great entertainment, and great cheese tastings. Cheese and beer tastings by me. Hopefully they'll invite me back next year. Apparently the feedback was good.
Fantastic.
And we were supposed to do a blend with them. We were going to do a collaboration blend with Wild Beer Co. But like I say, events conspired, so I couldn't actually make the blending. But we are going to do the blending later this year. So we will have a collaboration blended beer with the one and only Wild Beer Co.
Amazing. I do very much like the sound of that Belgian triple champagne yeast apples. It's
just so good?
Is that like really fresh and sort of like sharp and I can imagine that being amazing.
It's not that fresh. It's fresher than a triple would be. It's actually quite heady and fruity and appley, and I think if you chilled it right down, it would be very like prosecco-y. But if you drink it a little bit warmer, it's very classic triple-y, but with this little edge of sort of apple tannins. It's a really, really, really good beer.
That sounds ace, man. What kind of cheese were you pairing that with? Just to like a...
So we did the classic. No wait, what did we do? We did smoked cheddar with the Flemish red.
Oh yeah,
We did classic cheddar, classic Westcombe cheddar with the Ninkasi.
Yeah,
and then we did a Welsh Caerphilly with the wild IPA.
So is the Ninkasi the triple?
Ninkasi's the triple, yeah. So it was like a ploughman's lunch, basically.
Mega.
Apples, cheese.
You can't beat a bit of cheddar and apple together. That's a bloody amazing combo, isn't it?
Yeah,
beautiful.
It was. In fact, they sent me Wild Beer Co. sent me some cheese as a kind of thank you, and also to test the tastings. And I've got a bottle of Ninkasi and I've got a load of cheddar, and that's basically my plan for this evening.
Nice.
I'm going to sit on my deck and really, really chow down.
Nice. Chow down on the cheese, eh?
Chow down on the cheese. And I hope that you guys, when you listen to the Friday 5pm, have similar plans to chow down on cheese. We should get onto the video, Brad. We were worried we didn't have a lot to talk about this week, and you have, you've pulled the rug from under us and then wrapped us in it with your holiday talk.
I got even more holiday talk. I went to the garlic farm as well. I didn't even get to talk about that.
Did you try the garlic beer?
Do you know what? I was going to buy some of that, and then I thought, actually, it's probably horrible. And I get
bought it pretty reliably every year by a well-meaning relative.
Yeah, I just thought,
and it's terrible.
I thought this is going to be lame. I don't want to drink beer with garlic in it. So I left it.
If you want to do that, just drink a really, really fresh IPA.
Yeah, exactly. Just real burny and horrible.
Then you get the bonus of hot burn, This week's video, Brad.
Yeah. It was. I mean, I thought it was fantastic. Let's get away from hot burn. Let's go to bloody amazing, smooth, nutty, dark, delicious, chocolatey. It's London Black. It's London Black, mate.
It's London Black. Yeah. So this week's video was an episode all about London Black, which is a nitro porter from Anspach Hobday, a brewery we haven't done any content with since 2013, and we snuck in a little bit of old footage of me looking skinny and in a blazer.
So young and smart, like a real sort of whippersnapper.
Yeah, where did it all go wrong?
Spring in your step and very rosy cheeks.
I was. I think we'd had a couple by the time we actually started rolling, so that might explain that. But yeah, so it was basically, it was a paid-for video, so Anspach Hobday funded it so that we could spend a good couple of days on the shoot. And we had a lot of fun on the shoot, had some very delicious beer, fell in love with the two founders, who are lovely, lovely people, and fell in love with the beer, because it is an absolute cracker, and I do genuinely think that if they can keep the quality up as they hopefully increase the quantity of what's being made, it's going to be, I think, a little cultural icon in London. I think it's definitely got that potential.
I think so, mate. I honestly do. I think the more we can get the message out there and champion it, the more people discover it, the more it's going to be in, pubs further afield in different parts of London, and hopefully all over the place at some point, Johnny, because it's that good. It really is that good.
It really is. And it's got such a challenge ahead of it, because Guinness is one of these beers that has, within sort of the macro beer world, there's a lot of loyalty, which is kind of weird because all the products are essentially the same. But lots of people are very stubborn about what they drink, and Guinness drinkers, I think, are the most stubborn. It's like, if you go in and you've got a particular lager you love and they don't have it on tap, you'll have a second option. If you go in and it's not Guinness, it's another one on tap, generally people will be like, I'm going elsewhere.
Yeah, you're probably right there, actually. which is probably why we don't see a lot of the other kind of Irish offerings over here, because it's just synonymous. Guinness synonymous with a safety pint, isn't it? Like you say.
Yeah. We got a little bit of heat on social when we tweeted about it, and I used the Guinness tagline, "My goodness, not Guinness," because I'm very smart and clever. And we got a bit of heat because somebody said, if you have to reference your competitor in any marketing material, I feel like you've already lost the battle. And I sort of replied with, you don't really have a choice, like these beers that are put on nitro, these dark beers that are put on nitro, they're not stouts, they're not porters, they haven't earned that right yet, they're Guinness wannabes. And I think you're better off referencing it for now, and hopefully Anspach and Hobday can have such a cultural impact that we can start to go, you know what, there are many different nitro beers out there. And I think that if any beer can do it, it's going to be this one. I just want to, before we move into the comments, I want to give a shout out to you, Brad.
Oh, yeah.
Because you did what I consider the hell, basically, which is to go around and talk to strangers in the sort of the vox popping thing at the end. And so I just want to say I appreciate that you did that. You knew that it makes me incredibly anxious, and you stepped up to the plate, and you did extraordinarily well.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, I mean, I'm naturally an introvert, so it's very difficult. But I've got this facility of sometimes being able to hide inside myself and project some sort of confidence that I can talk to people when I'm just terribly scared. Going up to...
You're very good at talking to strangers, but I guess you need it to be quite organic rather than walking up with a microphone. Yeah. Yeah,
it's tough, man. Like, I can talk to, like, most people, but, like, when you add in the extra danger element of, like, can I buy you an alcoholic beverage? It sounds like you're chatting them up for a start. And then you're like, and can I shove this camera in your face as well? It's like... It's a heady combo. It's a heady combo. We met some absolutely lovely people, and I think we opened some eyes to some great beer experiences with London Black. There was the guy that was on a date who he just didn't want it. He just wanted free stuff. He's really cheeky.
Well, I think to be fair to him, he wanted the free stuff, but I think then also it probably wasn't a good look for him to be at the bar chatting to another guy while his male date was sat there waiting for a beer. Like, I was a bit conscious that maybe we were creating an issue there if he spends 10 minutes at the bar chatting to another guy.
Well, yeah, I mean, I am gorgeous as well, so
you are. That's what I was trying to say, but without having to say it, like chatting to another gorgeous guy.
Yeah. I'm sure his date got incredibly upset by my hairy berryness, and just got intimidated. But yeah,
you bought him a drink, mate, as well.
We did.
It had all the hallmarks.
Yeah. It was real bad, but we did buy his date a drink as well because he insisted. But a white wine, I believe, not London Black. Because he was like, "No, I want that." So but it was great.
Yeah, we got suckered there. But I mean, we got the goods in the end. What comments tickled you?
Oh, I just want to give you a shout out for like you and Jack Paul for like the oysters at the English restaurant, which were the biggest frigging oysters I've ever seen in my life. I couldn't understand how big they were.
Oh my God, because Paul was not going to partake in the oysters, not his thing, and I don't think Jack had one for quite a few years. So when they arrived and were like the size of our fists, like the actual muscle inside, not the shell. It was a bit like, oh, we're going in, guys.
It was crazy. It was crazy. Yeah, Jack really stepped up, and I don't think he's not a big fan of them, but he absolutely smashed it. So well done. Did. I think just a high five all round for the whole experience of making that video. Paul and Jack, just lovely, lovely people, making great beers and very, very kind of like modest, not like shouty kind of guys, but just killing it. I think of what they're doing. Amazing.
Yeah, doing a great job. Okay, and that was reflected in the comments. Like so many of the comments, usually because we're talking about quite niche beers, generally there's not a lot of people that have tried the beers that we're necessarily talking about, or maybe they're one-offs. So by the time you actually get to try it, it's the next year's edition. Whereas with this one, so many people being like, "Yeah, this beer is amazing. This beer is killer." So it was really lovely to see lots of people had tried it. Hit me with your comments, Brad.
Oh, yeah, I mean, just before we go on, I think they've genuinely spotted an incredible niche in the market, and I wish them all the success. I think the beer is that good that it could steal away stuff from Guinness. My comment this week is from Jaden Green. Anspach and Hobday really are the unsung heroes of independent craft brewing. Whilst many breweries make wild and sometimes bizarre claims, Anspach and Hobday let the beer speak for itself. Great to see two of the nicest guys in the beer industry getting the recognition they rightly deserve. Now get London Black in nitro cans for the rest of the UK. Mate, what an idea. What a concept.
Well, we did talk about the idea of nitro cans when we were walking between the English restaurant and Mother Kelly's where we filmed the final segment, and they were saying that they wanted to, but they hadn't got the sort of the gas mix right, and they weren't confident that they could nail it in can. But I think it's certainly going to be in the plans to eventually put it into can for sure.
It's for me, it almost had a kind of Camden Hells kind of like quality to it, like that core quality where you're like, oh yeah, I know that's going to be good. I'll have one of them.
Fly, yeah.
This can fly, yeah. I haven't seen that in a little while.
Exactly that. When we saw Camden Hells come out, we were like, yeah, obviously that's going to do well. Like the branding, the beer itself,
it's a no-brainer.
The setup and the reputation it was building, yeah,
it's ace.
So yeah, I hope so. I got two comments that I really enjoyed. Both of them are slightly controversial. So Ross Wynn said the beer looks great, but I'm sure that like the pubs that serve Guinness in the UK, they will serve this in the disgusting manner they serve Guinness.
Oh dear.
So that's Ross Wynn dismissing all pubs that serve Guinness in the UK. I think we've talked about this maybe on the podcast or maybe in a video before, but we fetishize the serving of Guinness. It's no more difficult to serve, no more difficult to look after than any other beer in the world, and Guinness have done a wonderful job of persuading you that it is. When you have a bad Guinness, it's just because the throughput wasn't very high or the temperature of the cellar was a bit warm, and that's true of every single beer. So, Ross, thank you for commenting, but there's lots of great Guinness in the UK, and that's issues with serving Guinness are not exclusive to any nation. Sam Butler, meanwhile, says, I do like a porter. At Bolton Beer Festival, I tend to start with a nutty slack. I don't know what that is, and I don't want to know. From Wigan's Prospect Brewery. Never realised the style originated in London. It feels northern. When you think of southern, you think fairy, insubstantial, weak.
Fairy? Oh, wow.
Fairy, not hairy.
Yeah, what, as in like a southern fairy? Is he being a bit...
Yeah, I think that's what he's saying.
Oh, no. That's not good.
Which is wrong audience for that, because you and I are both southern.
Yeah. I don't know who he thinks he's sort of... Yeah, I don't know. Oh, well.
I mean, it's an old cliche, but I guess I'll take the insult. I enjoy a bit of north-south banter, like anybody. But the idea that a beer can be more manly, strong, or anything like that makes me quite uncomfortable. It's a bit toxic masculinity. Harks back to a couple of years ago, we got a comment from somebody saying that anybody who drinks Creek is a beta male. Just these bizarre notions that beers have genders is just kind of nuts. So I thought I'd call out Sam Butler for his weird toxic northernism and toxic masculinity.
Maybe he was drunk at the time. Let's err on the side.
Maybe he'd had a
caution.
few blacks. Yeah.
Or
nutty slacks.
Nutty slacks, by the sounds of it.
I mean, that has to be a typo, doesn't it? Who would call a beer nutty slack?
I think nutty slack sounds like... do you watch Taste of London? Do you ever watch that? You know, they've got all like crazy names. It sounds like an actor that Toast would work with. Nutty slacks. Maybe he wears slacks, you know, and he's a bit nutty or something.
He's a little bit crazy.
Yeah, nutty slacks, or like a jazz musician. I could imagine nutty slacks playing like
he's
amazing
probably a drummer.
Drums. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
that'd be incredible. Yeah,
nutty slacks on the pads.
That's it.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I watched Spinal Tap yesterday, which is probably why I'm thinking of that. That film's fantastic, isn't it? I haven't watched it in a few years.
It is hysterical.
My God, it is so on the money. Like, it hasn't aged badly either. It's still pretty good. That's got some sending off of toxic masculinity in it as well, which is very, very funny.
And very early in the day. Ahead of time in that regard.
Definitely. Smell the glove and all that sort of business. But yeah, it's great. Very funny. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway.
Well, that's all we've got time for this week. I'm not really sure what we talked about, but I hope that the Isle of Wight Tourist Board are happy with their promotion. And I'm sure that everybody will be headed to, was it Sandown?
Sandown Adventure Golf on the pier, £4 a go. 2 extra
if you turn
holes
up late,
for free.
You can keep the clubs.
Keep the clubs. I could have walked out. It was fantastic. Highly recommended. 5 crispy boys out of 5.
Right, well, I'm going to jump on the train and then I'll hovercraft, get over there, and I'll see you guys next week for a video, and obviously every Friday at 5 p.m. as we creep towards 100 episodes and make absolutely zero progress about what we're going to do to celebrate it. Love and beer. The Bubble and Friday 5pm podcasts are brought to you by the nerds behind YouTube's craft beer channel. You can watch over 400 mini documentaries at youtube.com/thecraftbeerchannel, and if you love what we do, support us via Patreon and get access to merchandise and our amazing Discord forum, a positive and welcoming space for everyone who loves beer, food and homebrewing. Love and beer.